back to Greyhammer. Today we're going to be finishing up some of the backstage areas and working on the water buffalo enclosure. So we're going to just kind of finish up this rock wall, kind of make it a little bit more interesting. Um, and put in the Indian rhinoceros. I don't remember that being in here, but whatever. Didn't do really much editing on this at all, so there might be little bits and bobs, but the video length is actually pretty good. So, yay. And yeah, we're just kind of making this rock wall a lot more interesting. I'm going to use some pieces from the Caesar Creates rock piles later on, because I tried to do the standard faux rock piles, and I really was feeling the texture wasn't good enough for me. But yeah, we improved that. I use his rock walls, and then I do a little bit of updates to them to make them more franchise uh, helpful, because they're definitely a bit more sandbox focused, and I just wanted to make them friendly for us franchise people. Though I will be building a sandbox zoo in the near future ish. Um, but yeah, we're just kind of doing the backstage area, putting in the exhibit. I think this is one of my better ones of these groupings, though there are, of course, just little bits that I feel like could be improved. I'm still working on making habitats look good. Um, I think I do pretty decent at it, but then I can never tell. It. I'm always judging myself by other YouTubers, and there's a lot of great ones out there, so that's tough. But I think this is pretty good habitat. Let me know in the comments what you think. So yeah, here I'm going to start putting those faux rocks, and I was just not feeling it. Um, which I started creating my own. So Caesar Creates only has 3 different rock types, I'm pretty sure, that he uses. He's got 2 taiga and 1 temperate, and I think the desert, maybe. So I'm going to be making rock piles with all the different types of rocks. I do use the temperate for this one, but in the future we'll use tropical ones for the more tropical areas. Here I was going to just try and create it myself, and I was like, why am I doing this? This is way more work than I need it to be, and I don't think it looks as good. So you're going to see me do this and then just kind of get tired of it. Yeah, I think I take that in, and then I'm like, that's just too much stuff going on. And so I took out the buffalo grass that Caesar used on these and just kind of sunk it into the ground and started using it. Which I think worked out pretty well. Um, yeah, so just deleted those rocks and then started putting these piles in. It adds a great place where, just to make sure that the buffalo don't go crazy around the walls there, and just to make sure we get kind of areas where the plants can grow and the buffalo can't get to them as easily. Because these water buffalo are grazing animals, so would definitely graze all up in these areas. And just kind of creating some rock embankments. I was kind of trying to create some shallow pools, but ends up not working, and I'm not too upset about that because, I mean, we got plenty of stuff going on there. So here I am going to start trying to create a plant palette. So I figured I wanted some bamboo. I think I was kind of explaining where I wanted stuff to go there. I sort of decided to go with some palms, but I wasn't really sure. Some mangroves for sure. Scalaviola is my kind of basic tropical uh, like forest floor species. So first of all, I wanted to get this strangler fig in, and I wanted it to kind of just reach over the enclosure, over the faux rock wall. And so I even made a kind of a custom tree, which is something I don't really do very often. And then I like these mangrove apples. They make pretty good kind of leafy trees that look kind of scrubby as well. So then some tamarins in as well. And I don't think I end up putting any palms. I just don't like using palms very much. Here we're going to put in a bunch of water hyacinth, and we'll lower it down in a bit. But I feel like it works great as a water's edge plant. Um, so that's what we kind of use it for. And then put a few flowering ones in there just to make it look a little bit more interesting, and then just lower it all down. And then it's the scaviola. I'm trying to remember if I used drain grass as well. I think so, but I can't remember exactly. Maybe I don't, because I just wanted to make this as tropical as possible. So just kind of creating this undergrowth that's really going to sell the vibe that it's more tropical. Um, I really do like these in habitats. We're also going to be building an education center at the top of the roof that I'm really, really proud of. Um, Also, yeah, I really love how the Scaviolo works with these rock piles. I think it looks like a great vine that's kind of grown up in there, and I really enjoy that. I've also really enjoyed the water buffalo more than I thought I would. Um, I used to really like water buffalo, but then I was like, yeah, they're kind of boring. But I have 5 of them at the end here. You'll get to see them in the cinematic shots. In fact, we've got some babies. Also, the staghorn coral, I think it's called. I don't like the texture on it. I keep trying to like it, but I just am not a fan of the texture. But here we are texturing the enclosure, adding some grass, some mud, things like that, just to. I mean, it can't look too leafy that the species animals would just where it looks like the animals should have destroyed it but didn't. Here we're kind of creating a rock wall here because I felt like this embankment was a little steep and looked like maybe they could have fallen, broken their leg or something. You really don't want that happening to an ungulate. So I'm creating kind of a rocky area where they probably wouldn't want to walk on. It's kind of the idea there. And just using these rock piles, again, they're really helpful. And I want to use these vines, but I know a lot of creators talk great things about them. But to me, they're really hard to create really interesting vining structures. So I just use the wisteria because I know how to use them. Um, and I think they look pretty good. We got a lot of wisteria that I've seen in real life in where I live. It's not native, but it is. Yeah, we do end up putting drain grass, but we're gonna lower it a lot, if I remember correctly. I'm actually ahead of like everything, so it's been actually a few weeks since I built this enclosure, um, which is nice. But on the minus side, I don't exactly remember how I built everything. We're going to be building some stables, and I went to build a door. I think you'll see that. But I did not like how it was going to connect with the other ones, and so I just let it stay open. Um, the animals shouldn't be too aggressive, so I was not feeling necessarily like it was going to be necessary to separate them. Maybe they would need to be separated sometimes, but I didn't feel like it was entirely necessary. And here's I am putting that roof on that we worked so hard on. It doesn't fit in quite as nicely as I wanted to. Here's your lesson to go ahead and build that kind of roof stuff before you build your top roof. But yeah, we're just kind of fixing a bunch of stuff, um, and I think it looks good in the end. We'll get all these brackets put into place. Um, I probably should have done a backstage area tour as well in the cinematics, but whatever. It is what it is, and I didn't do that. But it does end up looking pretty good if I'm not mistaken. If you disagree with me, then I guess let me know in the comments, though I don't know if I really want you to let me know. We're going to start putting in this actual true roof. So this is like what we would actually see, what the guests will see. and then we'll put in an education building, uh, a bunch of education buildings on top of that. Um, but I'm pretty excited with how it looks. Um, this was a bit of a pain to put in, but it worked pretty well as well. So here I am just kind of trying to copy these stairs because we want people to come down the other side as well. And we want to include that wheelchair lift. Um, and so we're just going to grab that. And then, of course, Planet Zoo stairs are always a pain in the butt to do, so we do fit it in, and it works out for us. We do have one more enclosure part of this building. It's a little different, but I'm really excited. We'll probably do like a slower build, so I can really kind of show you everything in a more slow motion, um, which I'm pretty excited. We didn't really build too much of the area out. I think it does end up working pretty well. Here I am just kind of making sure we can get this backstage exhibit kind of looking good. Or not this backstage exhibit, this standoff fence, which we're going to use quite a bit. I've started working on my predator house, and I probably needed to use this a bit more in the predator house than anything else, but I don't. There's the predator house may be a little unsafe, but I do like how it's turned out so far, so I'm going to keep it the way it is. Um, this was me just kind of putting these in, um, and this area is going to become very nice, and we're just kind of making all this line up nicely, and we'll be deleting that stone wall shortly. But I like the way this standoff fence looks. I think it works really well, and just kind of sets a realistic tone to the rest of the area to make it a little bit safe. We are going to delete this area so that we can have an area for the wheelchair lift. And of course, we're going to have to create some caution areas because obviously we don't want people to go ahead and fall off. So that's kind of what we're doing here, is just kind of do not cross this line. Putting in education areas for donation bins and such, really important. I'm working on franchise and making all my facilities work better. Facilities are a pain in the butt to deal with, but I am getting better at kind of putting them in areas where they make sense. Here I am. I don't know exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, but then we're going to grab these tree protectors, put those in. They are going to be useful because the water buffaloes are going to have, they're going to want to scrape into trees and such. Here I am starting to create our areas for the education. I'm really a fan of how these turned out. So I think this one, I'm trying to remember if this, I think this is the education building. And then this is the education building, and then we'll also have a gift shop with bathrooms. And here I'm just fixing all the Z fighting, trying to make it look good. And then we'll put these shops in, and they work pretty well, and I'll have different things to make it look a little bit better in the future. Here I was trying to make this as safe as possible, because I don't know if you can tell, but this area is not safe whatsoever. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. I don't remember exactly what I did. Not that. I think, we put this in, and then I think we just tried to brute strength it. Is that what we did? And it worked? Wait, so we figured out we had to lower that because it was a little bit off the ground. And then from that, oh yeah, I just cut off that whole area. That's what we did. Simple solution. But here we wanted to limit the area back there because I didn't want the staff area to look so big. Um, that just kind of, without adding too much detail, that adds a lot of interest to it. I was trying to see if we could find the height of our animals because we're going to create a education, like compare your height next to our elephants or whatever. So this is the ruler. I end up doing way better stuff with it. I'll show you. Yeah, here we go. So we start by using kind of those commas to be marks for the animals. So we're going to measure all of our elephants first, and I've got like a sticky note that says which heights are which. Um, and so we're just comparing this to all of our elephants. And the two females are very close, but then we're going to do the rhinos as well. We're not doing the water buffalo for this. I didn't feel like it was as important because they're not necessarily massive animals. And so it didn't feel like a kind of compare your heights to them would be as interesting. Here I am. I'm making the ruler a lot better because I felt like the round thing was just making everything a little bit more complicated. So here we go, and then we're going to put some signs in and just kind of make those interesting, put the names in. This was a little bit tricky, but it is what it is. And so we've got all of our names for those animals here. And I wanted to make these more aligned to the name there, was the whole goal here. So there we go. You can compare yourself to the animals, and here we're going to add in a sign. I really like how I did the education area here. I don't know if we're... Well, I think the education area for my next one also works pretty well. And there's no question mark in the font size. So this was me trying to make a font marker, but then I just used this and changed the color on all this. But I wasn't quite happy with this piece, so I just kind of aligned it. It works, but it's not my favorite. So then we're going to spruce up this information stand because it needs some work. So we're going to make kind of a wooden counter in here. And then just kind of use a bunch of conservation cladding to make this look a bit more interesting. I use kind of different styles for my next kind of builds that have sort of this conservation wood, but I do like this one, but I think I've got a better version of it now. But here we're going to create the bathrooms and the gift shop, and I think it works pretty well. I'm trying to remember exactly what we did here. I think yeah, I remember now. I do like these buildings. I think they work pretty well. So here we got our toilets in. Oh, a little bit of management. I know you haven't seen that for a bit, but these zoo tours have been giving me frustrations. That was enough money to get me working on this. I felt like, and then... But yeah, recently my finances for my zoo have not gone as well. It's gone through weird periods where the zoo will earn a bunch of money and then won't earn a bunch of money. But right now I think we're in a good spot. We're still on this play management area, but just checking up on all the animals, making sure that people can see them from the right areas. Someone was telling me about how you can hook up the exhibit trail cams um, to the billboards, but it really wasn't working for me. So that was weird, but we kind of gave up on that after a little bit because it just didn't work. Um, Unfortunately. Also, pathing didn't work. Speaking of which, believe it or not, Planet Zoo pathing didn't like me today. But we end up making something that works. Um, the pathing doesn't have to look that good because people aren't going to be dealing with it. But yeah, here was my second attempt, and it was saying some weird stuff about not being able to have it, and that's when I gave up. I was like, okay, whatever. And then I just wanted to copy this piece over. I don't think it worked quite as well as I wanted it to. So yeah, we make it its own custom thing. And so just kind of made a wooden counter there. I really love these conservation pieces. I wish I had kind of used these throughout the entire zoo, because I think that that would have been much nicer to use. But we'll probably do some rebuilds in the future and make it really, really nice. We are reaching the end of this episode. Um, Here I created a custom door frame, and I'm not as bothered as some other creators that the zoo that you just have people walk through walls into a door. That's just not my big hill to die on, so I probably won't do that again. I don't think it adds too much for the amount of work, and sometimes it doesn't look as good. But we're really, really getting close to the end here. We're just going to be kind of creating some air ducts. These buildings will probably get made to look a little bit nicer in the future. This was me trying to figure out kind of how to create an interesting air duct system, because well, I struggle with these for sure. Also was struggling with these air vents. You gotta actually pay attention to what pieces you're using when you're doing these. And here I think I start by building a trim. Probably just talking to chat right now because I do live stream all of this. If you want to see those, go ahead and catch me on live streams. Subscribing and hitting the bell notification is the easiest way for you to get notifications that I do go live. So that's pretty good. I'd also want to suggest for everyone to go and look at my Patreon. I think that there's not as much value in it right now because I just haven't figured out what the tiers are yet. You can kind of just, you'll be able to get some of my videos early, which I haven't been doing on Patreon, but that's because then nobody's on it. But you will be able to get stuff early, and we'll also have an open Minecraft server if you do the higher tiers. So if that interests you whatsoever, go ahead and well, just go and visit me on Patreon. But if you liked this, go ahead, like that video, or like the video, and then go ahead and comment and say how much you liked it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. These are some areas that I built off camera as well, some nice gardens. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one, and I'll see you in the next habitat build. Goodbye.